So welcome, Liv.
Hello, how are you?
I am fantastic. And I tell you what, I've been hanging to get you on because, I've known about you for a long time. And of course, you're a Warragul girl, just like I've always been a Warragul girl. But I saw you speak at the Women in Business thing at Ball. And, you know, I didn't have a preconceived idea about you, but when people are influencers, it's kind of like, are they telling the truth? What's there? And you reduced me to tears a couple of times, just with your vulnerability and your honesty, and you're just a beautiful human being, and I'm so glad to be speaking with you. Really glad.
Oh, thank you. Now you're going to make me tear up. First thing on a Monday morning.
I know, Monday morning tears, sorry. But you're allowed to cry on this podcast because I do all the time, so it's okay.
Okay, that's good because I am definitely a crier, so.
Yeah, me too. Now you've got, I know that you're an Instagram influencer, or whatever you want to call it, and I know that you think, yeah, that's one part of me, and let's dig further into the other part of you and who you really are. But let's go back to that Instagram stuff for a minute. Like, you've got 154,000 followers, and I'll say that again if anyone didn't catch it: 154,000 followers. So you are quite a big deal, and I know sometimes
no.
Well, you kind of pinch yourself. Well, I think you're a big deal. And it's, because it's I know metrics aren't everything. People are kind of like, oh, metrics. And I don't think that's anywhere near as important as engagement. And you're a very good engager. You're very good at that. And I think that I don't care. It's still a big deal for that many people to be caring about what you do in your lounge room or in your laundry. It's funny. It's funny. Great. What was the journey like? I know when you were born, we didn't even have Instagram. We didn't even have that sort of stuff. So that's not your childhood fantasy. But
yeah,
what got you into, what journey happened for you to say, oh, I might give this a crack?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, which was nearly a decade ago now, which is crazy to think because it makes me feel and sound really old, because I still feel like, social media and social platforms and, the internet and everything is still like rapidly evolving around me. But for me, I was in those really early days of, being a new mom and parenthood. And I'd always had an interest in, I guess, the elements that are a big part of Instagram. So love taking photos, and documenting our life. I loved writing. I had previously done sort of similar work for organizations like Racing Victoria. They were running blogs. That was sort of what was the thing back then.
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually ever intentionally Instagram. It was starting up a website, starting a blog and writing about my experience. And that's really kind of where it took off from. And then Instagram was secondary for that. It was a method that I used to promote it, as well as Facebook and Twitter, but it just happened to be Instagram. That was the one that stuck for me and the one that grew and the one that sort of had that, I guess, viral success from things that I shared on there. And it was never intentional. I didn't know what an influencer was back then. I don't think it was, we were bloggers. There was no money in it, but I just really enjoyed doing it, and I just really enjoyed the connection that I made with people, and still to this day, I attribute that and that community that was created then to helping me survive those early days of motherhood, and I'm forever grateful for that. And now it's obviously something completely different, and it has changed so many times throughout that journey, but I still very much enjoy doing it.
So when you said at the start, you were writing your messages, you're using that platform for what were you talking about motherhood? Is that what you were sharing, that sort of stuff? Or
so like I said, at any given stage, it's always been a very authentic representation of me and where I'm at. And, in those early days, it was, the sleepless nights, I suffered from both postnatal anxiety and depression. And it was just you know, a really raw and honest, I guess, account of what I was going through, because, you know, even when you go to the internet, and it's different now because there's so much of this stuff available, but you really wanted to know, like, is this okay? Is this going to end? Am I going to be okay? Are we going to get through this? And it was really beautiful to be able to find that online, you know, even though it wasn't always good and it wasn't always positive. At least you had people there that, you know, connected with you and I connected with them.
And it's also sharing the message that if other people are feeling like that, you know, someone else is feeling like that too, because we often, when we're going through stuff, often feel like, am I the only one? You know, and we all know we're not, because we hear it so often. You're not the only one, but it feels so isolating, you know, to be in a spot. And so obviously I would say that inadvertently, whether you meant to or not, you would have saved a lot of people, you know, with their sharing your message for them. And, you know, you might not think that, but I think you would.
No, look, I definitely, you know, from all of the messages and DMs that I get from people, and it wasn't just then dealing in those, it's, you know, it's not as if you ever sort of like get to the end of anything. Do you know what I mean? It's just different day, different problems, different age kids, you know, different things. And I'm still doing exactly what I was doing then, now. But, you know, it does, your life changes and your life evolves. And, you know, perhaps it's, you know, less about the kids now. And obviously I am conscious of them having a digital footprint and as they get older. And so it's more about me and perhaps talking about issues that, you know, I'm facing, whether it be personally, relationship wise, friendship wise. It's all of those things. And it's just sort of, I guess, you know, come on the journey with me, and people have come on that journey with me. So people drop off, new people come in, you know, because we're all at different stages experiencing different things. But I think that's really cool that you can do that and sort of, you know, cultivate this really like beautiful community around it.
Yeah. And I also love that you're saying about it, really focusing on it being a journey, because a lot of people are like, you know, that when I do this, I'll be happy. You know, when I achieve this, you know, I will have made it, you know, and that sort of stuff. And I think we've got to stop doing that, because there's always going to be disappointment at the end. And not only that, our road varies. You know, we never end up exactly where we thought we were going to end up. And if we can embrace that journey and really feel, you know, this in the moment, whether it's good or bad, you know, and move along that path, I think that's where growth happens, you know, and it happens authentically too, so that other people can tap into it. You know, exactly what you're saying, right when they need it, you know, it's there and it's real. So yeah, I love that. Speaking of your two beautiful girls, which I see you take everywhere, which what a fantastic experience for them. Like, you know, it's wonderful.
They're little sidekicks. I do everything with them.
I know, and I see you're about to go to Rome with them and Paris, and
we're pretty excited.
I bet you are. What do you think? Do they realise how much of a big deal you are? And I know you don't want me to keep saying that, but I'm just going to say it just in a few minutes.
You see the size of my head, just like that was great. I don't know, because, you know, they're 6 and 8, and they're, you know, I think they are very much aware, and I make sure that they are aware that the opportunities that they are afforded are very special. And, you know, a lot of people would not be afforded these opportunities. And it is because of, you know, what I do for a job and a living. But I also have a lot of conversations with them around, you know, do they want to be involved? Do they want to, you know, do these things? And so it's not necessarily, you know, I'm just dragging them along to everything. I make sure that they understand that this is an opportunity that I have through my work. There are certain requirements, you know, taking a photo or, you know, maybe taking a video, whatever it might be. And I let them choose. And there's many things that, you know, come across, you know, our desk, and we say no because the kids don't want to do it. But I don't think they've ever said no to going overseas or going to Disneyland. and they're very excited. And Annabelle's at an age now, she's gorgeous. When we do campaigns that she's in, I let her have creative control. So we've done a few things recently, you know, reels, where she's basically come up with the concept and directed them. And you know, that'll be the same when we go overseas. You know, she loves to take the photos for me, and sometimes she says, you be in the photo and I'll take it. I'm like, okay, that's, you know, that's fine. So yeah, we work on that together, but definitely I make sure that they know, they understand, and they appreciate these opportunities that they get, because I think that's extremely important. You know, I grew up with a single mum myself who worked her absolute arse off to make things happen for us. And, you know, I feel like I'm doing the exact same with the resources that I have and the skills that I have. You know, a big part of why I pursued what I do is because I saw the opportunity that it had for me and my girls. So, yeah.
And I love that you're talking to them too about it, you know, because so that they don't grow up with that sense of entitlement or sense of privilege. You know, they actually understand that, hey, we're going to work for this, you know, and this, not everybody's got this opportunity. We need to be grateful rather than just, you know, expecting it to be there. And no, I love that. I used to sing, and I remember my nephew, you know, because I used to sing around the house and I used to look after my nephews when they were tiny. And I used to make ditties out of everything, you know, and they used to sing along with me, and it used to be so much fun.
I love that.
And then one day, and they'd see me sing in public, you know, and think, oh, that's just Kezzy at Pa's club and stuff like that, you know. And then one day when the internet came and I got on MySpace, I remember.
Oh, MySpace.
Yeah.
The OG, my favorite platform.
That was years ago. And one of them looked at it and he said, is that you on the internet, Kez? And I said, yeah, I'm putting my songs up on the internet. Oh, and I heard him go over to his twin brother and he goes, Kezzy's a real singer. Kezzy's a real singer. Did you know that? He's on the internet.
I love that.
And sometimes I just think they don't, you know, and I actually like that. I like that I do like that your family can be your family, you know, and they don't have to be something else. But anyway, I love it. Now, what do you think? So I'm wondering about the impact on them, you know, and when all you're promoting and that sort of stuff. What do you think? What do you think, or what do you hope it's influencing them to believe or to become?
Look, like I said, you know, how they're a bit older now and I have those conversations with them. What I really hope is that I give them that understanding of what I do and that it is work. And, you know, when I had my first daughter, I was quite young and I found it really, really hard to, I guess, find my place in the world, you know, work-wise and, you know, just as a person. And I took a really big leap of faith when I decided to do this full time. I wasn't making great money from it at the time, but it was something that I really enjoyed. And I also saw the opportunity for us as a family and for my kids. And, you know, my girls see me doing my thing every day and they understand that it's work and it's hard work. And I want them to, you know, grow up with me in their lives, but then also see me working and pursuing my passions. I think they're two very important things to encourage them that you're not just a mum. You know, I am their mum and they are my number one priority, and they, you know, they need to have that love and that, you know, warmth and everything around them, but then also understand that, you know, mum also has passions and mum also has, you know, things that she wants to do and pursue. So it's just finding that nice balance between those two things, I think, that is really important. So I guess for me, that's what it is. Don't know if I'm doing it great. I hope that I am. And I, you know, I guess I'll find out when those teen years come, whether I'm doing okay. But yeah, that for me, that's always what it's been about. I saw my mum do that, and that had a huge impact on me, being resourceful with the things that she had around her, but also making sure that she was always there. She was there for everything, but I also saw her working very, very hard.
Yeah. yeah, well, I think when they get to teenagers, I think there's two great books in this bookstore called Prince Buffhead and Princess Bitchface, and I reckon they're the two most accurate books I've ever seen. But you know, it's when you say, I love what you're saying about that showing them that mum has two parts, you know, and mum has passions too, because I've said this many times on my podcast, is I used to teach disability, and I'd have sort of middle-aged women coming to learn to work in the disability field, and they had spent their entire life sacrificing, you know, giving up who they were, what was important to them, for their husband so he could have a job, and for their kids so that they could, you know, running around like a taxi, you know, doing their things for the kids. And when I asked them at say 45, 50, 55, what is important to you? Most of them would break down in tears, you know, and I don't know what's important to me because I've lost me. And it used to take me 6 weeks to really massage that out of them. And then after that, they were buying houses, building houses, going to Africa, you know, like once they actually unlocked
Amazing.
it was absolutely fantastic. But it was sad, you know, that and I see this as such a common story, is that women give up their lives, and I understand the sacrifice of mother. I understand that, but it doesn't need to be that you have to give yourself away, you know, completely. So I love that you're sharing that. I love that. And I love that you also are focused on being unapologetically you, you know, and I love that you didn't even mention it then, but I'm sure that's what you're saying to your kids, you know, that you're special, you're okay just the way you are, you know, and despite what job I do and what I show to the world and everything else, you're freaking all right. You're bloody perfect just the way you are. So you didn't mention it, but I bet they're getting that from you, you know.
Absolutely. I hope so. And I know that people have their concerns, just as I do, about social media, you know, living your life online. There was actually recently something on SBS a couple of days ago, actually, where they were sort of talking about this exact thing. And I guess at the end of the day, we don't know, because it is, you know, rapidly evolving. You know, this is really the first generation coming through that have had access to social media for their whole life. Not even I did, you know, I got to live my life without that. But, you know, I just try and find that balance. I'm not saying that I'm doing it right. I'm not saying that I'm doing it wrong, but I am extremely mindful, and I'm learning just as everybody else is in this space. You know, I made decisions over the last couple of years to remove a lot of the content that was available about my kids online, you know, when they were little. I don't really ever post photos of my children just on their own anymore. So it'll always have me in the content, or like, it's never, you know, I don't present my content in the way that I used to. And that's just a personal choice, just from how I feel, what I'm constantly like learning, and, you know, things that I'm choosing to sort of like learn about. And everybody's different. Absolutely, you know, everyone will do their own thing differently, be happy to have certain things up. It's just evolved. Like I said, it's just a journey for me. And you know, that's the great thing about being human, is that you don't have to get everything right, but you can learn, you can make mistakes, you can do things differently. So, you know, I hope that people afford me that ability, regardless of whether you live your life online or not. I think we all owe that to each other, to be able to just, you know, live life how we think we should live it, and perhaps change our minds. So
I think that's a perfect thing. There's you know, I'm reading a great book at the moment called Think Again by Adam Grant, and it's talking about you know, we are all set with our beliefs and our thoughts, you know, and which is great, you know, that's fine, do that. But when new information comes along, are we prepared to reassess? You know, are we prepared to go, hang on, I did believe that, and based on everything I knew, that was right. But now I am going to look the other way. And I think that's a real growth mindset that we all need to have. You talk about, you know, I hope people give you the affordability, you know, to do that. I hope people afford you the ability to do that. You know, how do you go with trolls? How do you go with people that are just like, Oh, fucking assholes. I don't understand that shit. You know, how do you, what, like, honestly, how do you live your life? I'm just going to say my piece because I can't help myself. How do you live your life being such a miserable prick that you've got to spend so much energy cutting other people down? Like, I don't even, that's mental. But how do you, you know?
Look, it's, again, on any given day, that answer is different because people are going to say what they're going to say and they're going to do what they're going to do. But the thing that changes for me is how I am on that given day. So, you know, they might say the most horrible, mean, nasty, you know, vicious thing. And they get me on a day where I'm like, whatever. And then on another day, you know, they could just get me and I'm already, it's been death by 1,000 cuts and I've just had so many things getting to me and I'll just completely break down over what someone actually didn't even really intend to be mean. It was probably just them, you know, questioning something or asking something and I took it the wrong way. So that's one thing I've learned is it's not necessarily about what they say, it's about how I react. And I also found over the years that in the early days when I was in this space, I'll be completely honest, you're navigating this whole new thing and you get this, you get so many eyes on you so quickly and you kind of lose your way a little bit. You know, you might get caught up in gossip and drama and, you know, being concerned about what other people are doing or they're copying me or they're doing this or they said this about me. And I just learned that if you seek it out, you're going to find it. It's going to be there. And then it'll just be a snowball effect. There are very dark places on the internet where people just go to write mean things about you. And I can go and read that and just completely ruin my day. Or I can just not seek any of it out and not worry about being friends or connected with people that I wouldn't necessarily, well, I definitely wouldn't be friends with in real life. So now I feel like I'm in a really good place. You know, I do my thing, I have my friends, I don't go seeking it out. And for the very minimal times now that it sort of comes across, I feel like I look at it from the perspective of, well, imagine saying that to someone. Like imagine, and it always comes anonymously. No one ever has the balls to put their face to it. It's, you know, they're hiding behind the guise of anonymity and that's what they need in order to be able to do that and say that because they're already acknowledging in that moment by being anonymous that what they're saying is
wrong,
you know, is wrong, is mean, is nasty. And there's also another thing that I've really started to learn is, okay, well, what truth is there to what they're saying?
Yeah.
Like, why do I feel triggered by this? Maybe there is a little bit of truth. Like they've said it in like a really nasty way, but you know, it could be, or what am I taking from that I find so offensive? And now I realize that most of the time I just don't care because I'm like, well, there's no truth to that. Do you know what I mean? So it's taken a very long time to get here. And I'm not saying that I'm there and I'm perfect every single time. You know, someone could say something to me and I'll just like fly off the handle. But I try to sort of manage and deal with that internally. And it's not just about me being like, oh, like I have a whole toolbox for this stuff. Like I know what I do online is very, very impactful to my mental health. You know, I have a counselor that I talk to all of the time. I, you know, take medications for, you know, I have a whole plethora of mental health issues that I am dealing with regardless of being online. But you know, I see people on the regular. I invest a lot into both my mental and physical health because they're so closely linked with each other. And that goes back to how I am on any particular day when someone says something to me. So, you know, I have spent a lot of time doing the work on myself, spending lots of money on, you know, different things that I do and people that I see, because I understand that that is a requirement of what I do. It's never going to change. Living your life so publicly gives so many people access to you, and that has just become a part of what I need to do. You know, so when people talk about, you know, how much we get paid and, you know, whether they think that's right or not, I'm like, it's not even about paying my mortgage or, you know, keeping a roof over my kids' head and feeding them. I'm like, so much goes into what I do, and that is actually a part of it, is managing my mental health.
And you know, it's just funny how people are interested in how much people get paid. You know, I get the same thing. You know, you what? How much for an hour? And it's kind of like, well, fuck, there's a whole lot of skills that go behind that. There's a whole lot of experience, a whole lot of stuff that you've learned, you've had to put yourself through, exactly like you know, or there's a whole lot of all this strategies and toolboxes, and that, you know, this takes a lot of building. You know, you don't just sort of step out one day and say, oh, here you go, pay me this. Do you know, there's a lot of stuff behind it. So no, I love it. I love what you're doing is, you know, a lot of the commercial, I don't know if you've seen that Victoria's Secret, you know, that Jack's.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Bloody fantastic, you know, and
right.
I think that we've spent so many years with this goddamn, you know, TV and print magazines and everything else, and telling people, and the other Instagrammers, some of them, I'm not criticizing all, I'm not, but you know, some of it just so fucking fake. You know, you got to be skinny, you got to be booby, you got to be, you know, and if you're not, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, you're going to have to get something done because you're just not bloody good enough, you know, and that stuff pisses me off. I love what you're doing because you're like, you know, you show yourself, I don't care, I haven't got makeup on, I don't give a shit what, you know, that's because that's the truth. You know? Yeah. And you know, and I'm getting washing out of the washing machine rather than standing out there with my perfectly ironed clothes pretending I never do washing because the fairies do it.
An ironing board.
Yeah. But you know, it's kind of like, where did they get these perfect clothes? You know, so you got this realness about it. And I don't even want, I'm not even asking you a question here. I just want to applaud you for it, because I think that we've got to see that none of us live perfectly. We've all got a pile of shit on our kitchen bench. We've all got, you know, washing that needs doing. We've all got bloody dog prints on our tiles. You know, like none of us live in a perfect bloody world. You know, that's a mansion that we've hired for 3 hours to take a photo shoot. You know, like I love, yeah, I just love that you're showing, hey, this is life and we should embrace ourselves. We should embrace our life, and we should just, you know, just be okay with how the day turns out. And yeah, I know, I just want to applaud you for that, because I think.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind.
No, it's important, because people committing suicide and being depressed and being on, you know, anxiety medication and having mental health issues and hating themselves and Christ knows what, because of this comparison, you know, that my life has to be perfect. And thank you for being one of those people that says, no, you don't. No, you don't. You just be you. And it's, anyway, we need more of that, because the other stuff is just bloody awful. And I think women and girls have got it that bloody hard.
I know. And look, I think online, you know, there's a place for everyone. And I understand exactly what you're saying about, you know, those people and those accounts. And it's really hard for young, impressionable girls. But I also think of it from the perspective of those women that you know, are presenting those accounts, and most of the time, if you actually look at their insights, you know, it's mostly men are looking at their stuff. But I also don't want to sort of, you know, point the finger at them and say that they are the problem. They are the byproduct of the problem. Do you know what I mean? It's not those girls. You know, they're making a living out of what they're doing as well. And I don't want to sort of say, okay, well, you're the problem. I don't believe that those accounts and those people are the problem. They're just the byproduct of the problem. But you know, if that's how they're making their income, and you know, that's completely fine. And I feel like there is a space for everybody. And I think also we also need to take accountability for what we consume and how we consume it as well. I think that it's this really bigger conversation with so many elements a part of it. And we as parents, as adults, need to be having that conversation with people, because it starts with the immediate influence that people have around them. And so, you know, you could go on for hours about this, I feel like, because it's something that I am thinking about constantly as an influencer, as a mother, as a woman, as, you know, a person of influence. I feel like, we all have a responsibility to some degree about, it's not just about influencing people online, it's about influencing them every day.
Yep.
It's about the friends that you have around you and the conversations that you have with them, the conversations you have with your children, the behaviors that you encourage with them. There's, it's something that we all need to accept that is our responsibility.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure.
And I do like the way you clarified that. So thanks for pulling me out. But I do like that.
I'm always that token person. I'm like, you see from everyone's perspective. And I never want to make, a big part of what I do is making women feel accepted, empowered, that they have
choice,
allies, and we are their allies, and everyone does things differently, and there's a reason for that, but we can all learn and grow from each other.
No, I agree. I probably wasn't aiming at them so much as the as the company.
Only because I do what I do, and I see it all the time. I see in my niche specifically with mums, people say, I hate the perfect Instagram mum with the perfect house and all this kind of stuff. But you know what? She's probably really going through something, that need to appear like they have it all together.
Yeah,
comes from the fact that they feel like everything is falling apart in their life. Their baby doesn't sleep. They never see their husband because he's working a job, because, they're at home, because they want to be a mum, because that's what they've wanted their whole life, but they can't afford the one income. Do you know what I mean? There's a story behind everything and everyone. And, we then need to go, you know what? This isn't for me. This isn't making me feel good because, everything's perfect in your house and stuff. So I'm just not going to follow. I'm going to go find someone that I relate to a bit more. Everyone will find something different from someone, but there's always a reason why people are doing things, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. I don't follow them, and I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV. I'm just like, nah, because and that's the choice, because I don't want to get dragged down somebody. I see the news as negative, and I don't want to fucking see it. That's the end of it. But I like following. All right, I'm going to be. See, people might be surprised here, but I follow a lot of people that I care about on Instagram. If I connect with them, I think, I like them. And I'll follow them. That sort of stuff. Yeah. But I don't just follow for the sake of following. But I tell you who I get stuck with. I get onto it, and then I do the search for somebody. And when I go do search, all those videos come up, and then I end up watching all these. I'm just going to say it, dickheads on the road. That drive to, they crash. They're doing something smart. They're showing off, and they crash. And I just sit there laughing, and I shouldn't be laughing at it, but I just think I can't believe people are so fucking stupid. I do. I really get my kicks out of that. But anyway, all right, enough of that, because I'm being mean. No, so when you said before, you started off this job and you thought there was no money in it and that sort of stuff. At what point did you, like, you're now a paid influencer? It's not surprising, no secret. What was the thing that sort of flipped you to doing that? Like, was there a particular thing, or?
So I guess the natural progression of it was, as my audience grew, small businesses would reach out to me and say, hey, we'd love to send you something for the kids, start off with cute kids clothes, which was awesome, and I, back then, before I was doing any of this, we were that single income family. My husband was still building a business. And so, getting some nice clothes for the kids was like amazing. And then it sort of moved on to brands like Target. I think they were my first ever paid sort of brand campaign. It was $50. They sent me some stuff. I took pictures of the kids. I was like, oh, this is great. And then I sort of got my business hat on, and I was like, all right, well, I've got an audience. I know how much reach my audience has. I know how valuable that is, based on traditional media stats and everything like that. I'm good at taking a photo. They're reusing my content. There's a value in reusage. And so I just kind of started from there. And then, I would sort of, just, quote campaigns as brands started to come to me. And then probably maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't that I wasn't capable of doing it. It just got to a point where it was like really, really hard. And it doesn't matter how confident you are. It gets really, really hard to negotiate your value, because what I do is so personal. I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about my children. I'm talking about my life. Like, I am the product. And it is really hard to, I guess, talk about your worth, like, in numbers. And of course, you know, people on the other end, they have budgets, and they, you know, trying to work to those. And so I got management because it was just easier to put someone in the middle to have that conversation for me. And yeah, you know, now obviously we work with, you know, really fantastic brands that, you know, prior to doing this, I already used their products. We have really great relationships. I work with them ongoing. It's amazing. Of course, along the way, you know, you'll take on a campaign where it is just an ad. It's like, thanks for watching. Here's 30 seconds from a sponsor. And it might not necessarily, it might be a product I haven't used before, but I'm just introducing the, you know, the audience to it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's something I think most people have an understanding about, and they totally get it. And of course, there are people that don't or don't like it. But that's not really my problem.
Yep, so, that's not your problem. That's right.
Yeah, you know, I've got to make money, and I'm very, very fortunate that I get to do it with products and people that I love, with the occasional just sort of like, you know, random ad in there. But at the end of the day, I've got to make money.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that what you're saying about your worth, because I have the same problem. You know, anybody who's selling themselves as the product, you know, it's I struggled. I've only just broken through it. Only just, you know, in the last maybe year, 2 years, that I've only just broken through what I'm worth. Do you know? And it was actually the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, is to assign a value to my worth. Do you know? And it took me a good 2 years of like real pain, trying to figure that out. And
because there's nothing worse than when you undersell yourself and then you're doing stuff and you're like, I'm not enjoying this because I'm not you know, I can tell that I'm not being appreciated. I can tell that there's no understanding of what goes into it, you know, the skills that we have to learn. It's not just exactly what we do. It's not just the fact that I can talk on camera and take a photo. I have tens of thousands of dollars worth of camera and video equipment. I have, you know, insurances to pay. I have websites to run. I have all these skills that I've had to acquire to run a business, you know, lawyers, accountants, tax, you know, even going back to talking about my mental health and then looking after myself, because, you know, I need to be able to present to people. So, you know, if you really tally both the monetary and non-monetary cost that it takes to do any single job, especially when you are a sole trader or, you know, a small business, people don't see that. And you know when someone doesn't see that and someone doesn't appreciate your worth. And that's why also it's not just about learning about what you're worth, but it's learning about when something isn't worth it, you know, regardless of the dollars that are on it, for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah, that's 100%. You know, I used to take any jobs, do you know, because I was just like,
because you do in the early days, like you have to learn what you don't want to do.
That's right. But we're taught to have a scarcity mindset. You know, that's what we're taught to. Everything around us is, you know, whatever. And I started saying to people, you know, I'd put a quote in and I'd think, oh God. And then they'd come back saying, no, we'll just get someone from our organization to do it. And it used to hurt me at first. And then but now I'm like, good, because now I don't have to do that one, you know, because I wasn't going to be valued. So, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot to shift to that, you know, and this is where a musician, an artist, a writer, an author, or anybody who's putting themselves on the line, bearing their souls, it hurts until you can break through that threshold. It bloody hurts. It really does. I used to be a muso, and people didn't want to pay a couple of $100, you know, and that sort of stuff. And I used to think, far out. We practice 5 nights a week. Like we musicians are the only ones that put a $5,000 guitar into a $500 and into a $500 car and get paid $50, to travel bloody 5 hours. And it's like you end up earning $5 a bloody hour. And once you can break through that worth, it's bloody important. It's bloody important. So now, when you were speaking before about working with great brands, when I heard you speak at that Women in Business event, something you said, and I tell you what, I could have just, I almost cheered, whoa, like this, but of course I couldn't, because you would have said, who's that goose up the back? But you said you dreamed, I want to work with Disney, Qantas, Lego, and you said someone else, I can't think who the fourth one was, and you said, and I just wrote it down. And at that point I thought, well, I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I wrote it down like a dream, and put it away. And it came true. So, so how did that turn out for you? Like, I know you're going to Rome on Qantas,
Yeah. Look, like you said, when I got to that point where I wanted to make it a thing, and I invested that time, I sort of had that bucket list, and that was a bucket list of people that, brands that I loved, that it would be so amazing if I could work with them, because I knew I had that, alliance with them already. We love Disney. We always fly Qantas. Like, we have millions and millions of Qantas points. The kids love Lego. And I know I always talk about manifesting. I'm a huge believer in the universe. If you put something out there, but what it really is just hard work. And I don't want to kid anyone that you can just dream something up, or you can just say, it'll happen, like, put the good vibes out into the universe. Like, yes, you have to do that. That's the first part. And then you have to work really, really hard, and you have to have a plan of how you're going to get there. And what I always say to people is that the worst thing that can happen when you reach out to someone, when you ask them something, or you say, I want to work with you, or I want to do this, the worst things that can happen is that they don't reply, or they say no.
Yep.
And as long as you can accept that, and as long as you're okay with that, then I'm allowed to swear, aren't I?
Yeah.
Like, people come to me all the time and they say, how did you work with them? How did you do this? Can I have a contact? Can I do that? And I'm not a gatekeeper at all. I'm very happy to tell people how I did things. I'm very happy to give people direct, contact to someone. That's, they can do whatever they want with that. But at the end of the day, I know that I proved my worth to people. I proved that my work was good. I proved that they, because everything is a business transaction. I was able to go to those people and say, this is why I think that I would be good. This is what I can do for you. And they gave me that chance, and I proved that. And it was fucking hard work.
Yeah.
So yes, dream big, write it down, manifest it, put it on a board, give yourself reminders to keep reminding yourself to work hard.
Yep.
So
yes, exactly. And I think that I'm a big believer in the universe too. And I've got a sign up here. It says, for God's sake, Karen, tell the universe what you want, because that does work for me. Once I told the universe what I want,
it's accountability.
It does start to manifest. But the thing is, it's not magical, and it's not like this whole thing just I'll sit back on the couch and have a beer while the universe does its thing. Like, you hit the nail on the head. You've got to still bloody work. You've got to still. I love this thing. I've got this thing called ABC principle. It's like, I'm here, this is what I see, and in the middle it's let it be. And that's sort of like two ways. It's kind of like, let it be, let the universe do its thing. Like, don't freaking force it. Because if you force shit, it's not going to work. But at the same time, be active, be aware, be opportunistic, be involved, be energetic, be aware, you know what I mean? Keep being without controlling it for the outcome. Just keep doing what you're doing and keep heading in the right direction without that control. So, well, that's exactly what you're saying anyway. I just said it in a different way.
Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, it's a really nice, pretty way of telling people that you've got to hold yourself accountable. So if you put it out there, it will make you more accountable and remind you of what it is that you want. But also, sometimes you might work out that it's not what you want, and then you change direction or whatever. But definitely for me, I found that making that initial, I guess, verbalization to the universe was the first step, and then it's just a fuck ton of hard work.
Well, I think people need to understand that and have faith in that if once you verbalize it, your brain hears it and your brain starts to align stuff. And you said before about what you're looking for, you'll attract it. You seek it, you'll attract it. And once you start saying that stuff, this is what I want, and then you start really, really watering that plant. Start putting water on that seed. You do start to notice things that are going to start to feed that and align with it. And start to make it grow. And it's just like any plant, you put a seed in, you can't see anything happen for a while. And you just you're going to have that faith. You have to have that faith that the nurturing you're doing to it, you're eventually going to see a plant come up. And, I just love that stuff. That's how I do everything. And sometimes you get this close to quitting. Sometimes you're just like, it's not coming. It's not happening, but you just got to keep pushing it. But anyway, I was going to ask you more about your anxiety, but I reckon we've covered that. But I guess I've still got a little bit I'm thinking about. Is it, you say you manage it and everything else. So there are days when you just, it's just too much, and you've got a gig to do, you have to do this, and you're just like, far out. I don't know, what gets you over the line?
Look, again, it's an ever-evolving thing for me, understanding my brain and how it works. And,
forget
it. And what my triggers are and how I can manage things. And, my anxiety is just one of, I guess, almost like a byproduct of other things that I'm managing and that I'm dealing with. And I'm forever just, looking for different ways that I can, work on that and work with that. But of course, there are just those days where I have that understanding that it's not going to happen.
Yep.
Today is not the day, and it's so many things. As a woman, we've got the added layer of, where our hormones are at and how that impacts our mental health. And even, in winter, I know I'm way worse, because I pretty much seasonal affective disorder. And I guess it's just being kind to myself and working with the people around me who that has an impact on: my family, my children, my husband, my manager, the people that I work for. And so it's about managing expectations and making sure people have an understanding of where I'm at, being honest. Back in the day when I would be struggling with things and I would have things due and my mental health was not in a great state, but I would avoid, and clients would get angry at me or people would get frustrated with me. So definitely I have found that as long as I'm, honest and managing that stuff with the people around me, then I'm okay.
I think that's I love what you're saying there, because we have this, we're too hard on ourselves. We're kind of like, I've got to get this done. And I'm going to admit, I was like that, and I still can be like that, and I have to really pull myself up. And this whole pressure of, and that there's nothing due. There's nothing that has to be done today, but we still put that pressure on ourselves. I got to get this done. I get this done today. I've and now this is just only recent, like, I just had COVID and I've just been a different person since. It's just been like, I'm going to take my time. Now, listen, I'm going to COVID. I bloody hate COVID. I just want to ask you, Liv, I've absolutely loved this. I've absolutely loved it. It's been fantastic. I love what you're doing. You're just a beautiful soul. You're sharing your rawness, and that's exactly what the world needs. I want to ask you, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? Well, obviously the main one is Instagram, and that is House of White. So I always laugh at, you create a handle in those early days, and obviously my last name is White. And now I'm too far down the track to change it to Olivia White because it's such a common name. But House of White, and the blog is House of White as well. I'm on TikTok and all the other platforms, but yeah, Instagram is the main one that I'm on. So if people do want to find me, they can find me there.
And you've also got your website as well. So, all right. So that is fantastic. Olivia, thank you. No, I'm not allowed to call you Olivia. I'm just got to call you Liv. But
yeah, only if I'm in trouble.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this, and I really appreciate what you're doing to support women, other women, and also to send the message out to young girls that, life is what it is, and embrace it for what it is, and to be unapologetically yourself. I just think that's bloody special. So thank you so much for joining me. I've absolutely loved chatting with you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful.
My absolute pleasure. All right, catch you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.